Hey, welcome to Models and Agents, episode 37 for April 29th, 2026, your daily AI briefing. Let's see what happened in the AI world today. And trust me, it's been busy. DeepSeek's first native multimodal model drops in the LocalLLaMA community, finally giving the open source whale vision capabilities. Today brings the long-awaited DeepSeek Vision multimodal release alongside a wave of new arXiv papers that push agent reliability, multilingual benchmarks, and reasoning generalization. Amazon and several startups are rolling out autonomous agent platforms aimed at hiring, supply chains, marketing, and travel personalization, signaling that 2026 is the year agents move from experiments to production workflows. The research community is also delivering concrete fixes for tool calling bugs, better elderly speech recognition, and smarter test time exploration methods you can actually run today. The top story is DeepSeek Vision Multimodal finally surfacing in the open source community. This marks the first time the popular DeepSeek series includes native vision capabilities. The model arrived with a simple teaser post that just said, "Finally, with eyes." Practitioners have been combining earlier DeepSeek text models with separate vision encoders for months. A unified multimodal version removes all that integration friction in one stroke. Early community reaction suggests it maintains the strong reasoning DNA of the DeepSeek family while adding solid image understanding. That combination should immediately benefit multimodal retrieval augmented generation, document agents, and visual tool use pipelines. For developers, this means you can now experiment with a single high-performing open model for tasks that previously required stitching together separate large language models and vision models. It potentially cuts latency and context overhead in the process. The release is still early, so expect GGUF quantized versions and integration guides to follow quickly in the LocalLLaMA ecosystem. Watch for benchmark numbers on visual reasoning and tool calling with images. If it matches the text side performance, it becomes an instant must-try alternative to Llama 4 Maverick or Qwen 2.5 Vision language. Moving to model updates, researchers have released a new approach called elderly contextual data augmentation via speech synthesis for elderly automatic speech recognition. They created a large language model-powered paraphrasing plus elderly voice text-to-speech pipeline that generates synthetic elderly speech data. Then they merge it with real recordings to fine-tune whisper. On English and Korean datasets from speakers 70 and older, the method delivered up to 58.2% relative word error rate reduction versus the baseline. It also beats standard augmentation techniques. The approach requires no architecture changes and includes careful analysis of optimal augmentation ratio and reference speaker mix. Teams building voice interfaces for senior users can now bootstrap far more effective models, even with limited real data. Another interesting arXiv paper introduces adaptive dictionary embeddings that scale multi-anchor representations to large language models. Instead of representing words as single vectors, this framework uses dynamic combinations of multiple anchor vectors. It scales successfully to transformer-scale models through vocabulary projection, grouped positional encoding, and context-aware reweighting. When integrated into a segment-aware transformer, it beats DBRTA VV3 base on DBpedia 14 with 98.06% versus 97.80%. It does this while using 98.7% fewer trainable parameters and compressing the embedding layer over 40 times. The technique directly tackles polysemy limitations that have persisted since the Word 2vec days. It is worth testing if your classification or retrieval tasks suffer from ambiguous terminology. Fujitsu's team released Gaia V2 LILT, a multilingual adaptation of the agent benchmark that goes well beyond simple translation. They used functional alignment, cultural adaptation, and difficulty calibration across 5 non-English languages. The refined workflow lifts agent success rates by up to 32.7% over minimally translated versions. It narrows the gap to English performance to roughly 3%. The dataset is available in the Maps collection on Hugging Face. If you evaluate agents in non-English markets, this is the new gold standard test suite. There is also a fascinating paper on large language models explore by latent distilling. Their exploratory sampling method trains a lightweight test-time distiller on shallow to deep hidden states. It then uses prediction error as a novelty signal to bias decoding towards semantically underexplored paths. Implemented with less than 5% overhead and 1.2% in optimized builds, it improves pass-at-K efficiency on math, science, and code benchmarks. It preserves coherence in creative writing, too. The GitHub repo is already public, so this is a practical drop-in decoding upgrade for any reasoning model where standard sampling produces only surface-level diversity. On the agent and tool side, travel brands are pivoting hard to autonomous AI agents as guest expectations for personalization surge. Hospitality companies are moving away from rule-based chatbots to fully autonomous agents that handle end-to-end guest journeys. The shift is driven by rising consumer demand for truly tailored experiences that static systems simply cannot deliver. Early adopters are already deploying these agents for itinerary planning, real-time adjustments, and proactive service. It is worth watching for rapid commoditization of travel-specific agent frameworks in the next 12 months. Amazon unveiled new AI hiring and supply chain tools as part of its broader push for autonomous agent systems. The tools emphasize reliable multi-step planning and tool use in high-stakes enterprise environments. They cover talent acquisition and end-to-end supply chain orchestration. Practitioners building internal agents should study Amazon's patterns because they often become de facto standards for production reliability at scale. Endavisha AI also launched a unified AI agent platform for marketing, content creation, and digital growth. It orchestrates multiple specialized agents for end-to-end marketing, content pipelines, and growth campaigns. The unified design reduces handoff friction that is common in multi-agent setups built with LangGraph or Crew AI. Marketing teams can deploy it today for coordinated campaigns that previously required stitching separate tools together. In the practical and community space, a developer stumbled on a Gemma 4 chat template bug for tools and actually fixed it. The bug was silently dropping critical JSON schema information, including any of ref defs and nullable types when rendering tool definitions. That broke function calling on multiple inference engines. The updated Jinja template now correctly preserves complex schemas. A pull request is open on the official Gemma 431b instruction-tuned repo, and a pastebin version is available. If you run Gemma 4 as an agent or tool calling model, apply this fix immediately because it restores performance to match Qwen 2.5 and GPT-derived models. The LocalLLaMA community also saw preliminary GGUF quants for MIMO v2.5. Acidai released them along with a llama.cpp pull request, including mixture of experts optimized variants. They use Q80 and Q6K on most layers with heavier quantization on feed-forward networks. The annoying Q4KM not a number bug on layer 47 has been fixed. Community quantizers are expected to follow quickly. This is currently the fastest way for local inference users to test the latest MIMO release before official merges. And for pure delight, someone shared a tiny local language model that autonomously wrote and then played a simple grid-based game it created itself. It reached a perfect score of 10 on a dynamically changing board after a score 5 pivot. The demo serves as a vivid counter to stochastic parrot critiques. It shows genuine creative loops even in quantized models under 3 billion parameters. It is easy to replicate on consumer hardware and worth running yourself to see the emergent behavior. Okay, let's pop the hood on this test-time distillation approach for semantic exploration because it is genuinely clever engineering. Everyone talks about exploratory decoding or test-time scaling as if you just sample more tokens and magically get diversity. In practice, it is a carefully engineered dance between a frozen, large language model and a lightweight online distiller that watches the model's own hidden states. The core insight is simple. Neural networks are more confident, meaning lower error, on patterns they have seen before. By training a tiny auxiliary network at inference time to predict deep layer representations from shallow ones, you get a live novelty detector, high prediction error flags that the current generation path is semantically new. You then upweight those token candidates in the next decoding step. The asynchronous train inference pipeline keeps overhead under 5% and down to 1.2% in optimized builds. It achieves this because the distiller is deliberately shallow and updates continuously on the current context only. Trade-offs are real. You trade a small, constant compute cost for dramatically better pass-at-k efficiency on reasoning benchmarks. The quality gain is largest on models under roughly 70 billion parameters. Beyond that, the base model's own representations are already so rich that the distiller adds diminishing returns. It also shines on creative writing, where standard temperature sampling collapses into repetitive tropes. So when should you actually reach for this versus the alternative? Use it when you need maximum semantic coverage with a fixed inference budget, like math competitions. scientific hypothesis generation, or long-form creative tasks. Skip it for simple classification or chat, where surface diversity is enough. The biggest gotcha is forgetting to warm up the distiller for the first 50 to 100 tokens. Start with a short exploration priming phase, or you will bias toward the model's strongest priors instead of true novelty. If you have not tried the new DeepSeek Vision model yet, this week is a great time to run it on document plus image agent tasks. The unified architecture often cuts round trips compared to separate vision and text models. Apply the fixed Gemma 4 Jinja template from the LocalLLaMA pull request to your tool calling setup. You will immediately regain performance on complex JSON schemas that broke for weeks. Test exploratory sampling from the test time large language model repo on your favorite reasoning model. The less than 2% overhead is low enough to run on every production query. Fine-tune Whisper with the elderly speech augmentation pipeline on your own senior user recordings. The 58% word error rate drop makes voice products for aging populations suddenly viable. Finally, evaluate your current agent on the new Gaia v2LILT multilingual split instead of translated Gaia. You will get a far more honest picture of real-world non-English performance. On the horizon, full GGUF ecosystem support and official DeepSeek Vision benchmarks are expected within days. More enterprise agent platforms for hiring, supply chain, and marketing are moving from announcement to public beta in May. Follow-up papers on frictive policy optimization and dynamic decision learning are likely to appear with open code soon. There is also increased focus on failure-aware meta-agents as production teams discover that error recovery is now the dominant engineering surface. Before we go, keep an eye on those full DeepSeek Vision benchmarks dropping any day now. That's models and agents for today. If you found this useful, share it with someone who's trying to keep up with all these changes and subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow's update. The AI world moves fast. We'll help you keep up. See you tomorrow. This podcast is curated by Patrick, but generated using AI voice synthesis of my voice using ElevenLabs. The primary reason to do this is I unfortunately don't have the time to be consistent with generating all the content and wanted to focus on creating consistent and regular episodes for all the themes that I enjoy, and I hope others do as well.